What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking today's video. So today I actually wanted to do something a little bit different on my Instagram stories. I put out a question and I was curious to see how you guys would answer this. So the question that I put out was, what is the most important thing for weight loss? And some of the answers were actually really interesting, and I was really surprised and actually very happy to see what you guys had to say. So I'm going to be reading some of the answers and giving my opinion on them, as well as sharing what I truly think is the most important thing for losing weight. And the first response is fat burners. Moving on. The next response was caloric deficit. Now, this was one that I got a ton, and I obviously 100% agree. I think that personally for me, the way that I lost weight is being in a caloric deficit. It's really important to understand how to get into that deficit, because being in a deficit is how you lose weight, right? If you are burning more calories than you are consuming, you are going to be losing weight. And dependent on how big that deficit is, that's how fast you're going to lose the weight. And now I've spoken on it a ton, but if that deficit is actually too large, a lot of time that is actually a bad thing, because you're losing weight too fast. And most likely to be in such a large deficit means you are doing things that are very drastic and things that are very unsustainable. So it's all about finding how to be in a deficit that's not too large, but that still makes it so you're seeing progress and you're still excited to continue whatever diet it is that you're doing. Because if you're seeing that progress consistently, you're going to want to continue doing it, right? If you're never seeing progress, it's really hard. If you always feel like, man, I have lost no weight in 5 months, like that's difficult. But you need to be in a caloric deficit to lose weight. I 100% agree with that. This next answer was actually pretty interesting. Doing it for myself, not against myself, seeing it as supporting my body getting, and I'm assuming they're saying getting stronger. Now, I really love this answer, because I think that a lot of people, they think that when someone is trying to lose weight, it's because they hate their body and they hate everything about themselves, so they're trying to change. And I'm sure there's obviously a lot of people that have been there and have done that, but I've seen for myself, when I would try and lose weight with that mindset, it was always way too drastic. I was always doing things that were not sustainable. So losing weight and thinking to yourself, like, I'm doing this, like when I started losing weight, I was doing it because I literally was afraid of dying. Like, that might sound ridiculous, but I was 20 years old, afraid to have a heart attack. So I was really doing it because I wanted to live. And so that helped me pick things up that were a little bit more sustainable and find ways to lose weight in a way that I could keep it off for a long time. Because obviously my goal was not just to lose weight really fast and then gain it back, right? I think everyone's goal when they are trying to lose weight is to lose weight and keep that weight off. Keeping bacon in your pockets. Bacon in your pockets. Keeping bacon in your pockets. I guess that could work if, like, you wanted a snack and you were like doing keto and you had bacon pockets and you pulled the bacon out of your pocket instead of eating other things. Maybe it worked for that guy. I don't know. And this next answer is my favorite. It says consistency, and this is where I want to spend most of my time. There was actually that was probably the most popular answer, which makes me very happy. It makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing and I'm sharing the right information. When it comes to losing weight, consistency is by far, in my opinion, the most important thing when you are trying to lose weight. The most important thing. The reason that I say that is, like we were talking about earlier, being in a caloric deficit is obviously very important, but you have to be consistent with that caloric deficit. Now, tell me if this reminds you of anyone. You are very strict. You're very good with your diet during the week, during the work week, Monday through Friday, you're killing it. Maybe Friday night you have a little bit of a snack. Saturday, Sunday, you kind of do whatever you want, and then you get back to it on Monday, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I'm really not losing weight, and I'm being really consistent during the week. If you're not consistent for the whole 7 days of the week, I'm telling you right now, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you are trying to lose weight. Consistency is by far the most important thing when you're trying to lose weight. Now, this is actually why I think a lot of fad diets work at the beginning, because a lot of people, they have so many restrictions that you have to stick to the diet 7 days in a week, so you can't deviate at all. So people see that initial weight loss because they have to be very consistent, right? If they're taking shakes or whatever it might be, whatever fad diet they're on, whatever thing is getting them in a very steep deficit, they have to stick to that, because in their head, if they get off of that, it's no longer going to work. And so when people do these fad diets, they see those results really, really fast. But again, those things are not very sustainable. So after a while, they end up being like, you know what, I'm sick of this, or, you know, oh, it's the weekend, I'm going to have a little bit of fun. They fall off, they gain the weight back because they're no longer being consistent. Now, I would say I'm probably similar to a lot of you guys. It's not like I only tried losing weight one time, right? I had been trying to lose weight pretty much my entire life. Like, since I can remember, I always was kind of embarrassed about my weight and I wanted to lose weight. And so I would try a lot of things. I remember one time my mom bought Slim Fast back in the day, and I would literally eat whatever I wanted during the day, but then I would drink Slim Fast. And then there was another time, now this is the only time that I've actually lost any like amount of weight. Actually, I lost about 15 to 20 pounds, and it was because a friend of the family, he ended up being like, hey, you need to lose weight. Basically, he was very worried about me, and he was like, I'm going to help you lose weight. And so he actually took me to Costco, got me a ton of food. It was a really cool thing that he did. He tried to share as much information with me as possible. He would show up to my house in the morning, and we'd go on basically like walk runs, and we'd run around the block, and it was about a mile, and I would it's funny looking back, but he got me a sauna suit, so I would wear that and I'd just be like drenched in sweat, right? And I felt really good about it. Now, I was being pretty consistent, and I remember seeing the scale actually go down, but this is when I was in high school, and I actually ended up going to a summer camp, or I think it was actually a winter camp. And when I went up to the winter camp, I messaged him and I said, hey, do you think it would be cool when I'm at this winter camp, because they have like, you know, fun food and stuff like that, if I could eat some of the food there, and then I'll get back to it when I get back? Now, I'm sure in his head, he's like, I really wish you wouldn't, but he's not going to be like, you can't do it. And obviously he couldn't control me. So he's like, yeah, go for it. So I remember I went to that camp. I went hard. I went ham. I just ate whatever I want. I wasn't even worried about my diet. And I remember I came back after that. I saw the scale was basically at the start of when I started my weight loss, and I was very discouraged. Consistency is so unbelievably important because it helps you stay on track. It doesn't let your mind wander. Like, when you are very consistent, you can see that progress, and I'm telling you, it is so much easier to stick to things. And on top of that, being consistent is unbelievably important when it comes to actually finding out if a diet actually works for you. That's like a lot of people that do keto, it works really well because you can't just cheat on keto, right? You're going to get out of ketosis. So a lot of people are very, very on point with that. And a lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, they think that a diet's not working, but they're not. You have to be very consistent to be able to say, oh, this diet's not working. Like, when I'm working with people and trying to help them lose weight, and I'm saying you need to eat this amount of calories, if they're not doing that every single day, I can't say whether or not that's working because it's impossible for me to know. So being consistent actually helps you find out what works for you personally, how many calories you should be eating personally. Like, if the TDE calculator says you should be eating, 3,000 calories, and you're eating 22,000 calories some days, but then on the weekends you're eating 4,500, it's impossible for someone that's trying to help you lose weight find out if maybe this calorie range is too high or too low because you haven't been consistent with your diet. An analogy that I just thought of is like, if you think of losing weight and getting healthy as like a recipe, and you're not consistent with the recipe, like, you wouldn't go up to a baker and be like, hey, this recipe you gave me for cake was terrible, it tasted bad. And they're like, well, did you actually stick to the recipe that I gave you? No, I mean, I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. I kind of just threw in whatever I wanted. The baker would obviously be like, well, then you didn't actually do what I was telling you to do. It's the same thing with weight loss. Like, if you're not actually doing the things you need to be doing, of course you're not going to see the results that you want to see. And I know that sounds so like obvious and very stupid to even say out loud, but when you really think about it, that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they think they're doing the right thing, but then they're not being actually consistent with those things that they should be doing. And then they start blaming their body. They start blaming a bunch of other things as to why they can't lose weight, when in reality, they're not sticking to the recipe they should be sticking to. So all in all, like I said, I think that consistency is very, very, very important. The most important thing. A caloric deficit is obviously very important as well. That's actually how you lose the weight. And then bacon in your pockets if you like bacon. Before we end the video, I want to say, if you guys have not checked out my podcast, I would really appreciate it. I have a lot of fun making it. It's called Work for Change. I'll have it linked down in the description. It's also on any podcast platform you can think of if you want to listen to it. It really, really helps me out and helps the channel out. So if you guys want to do that, that would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I would love to know what you think down in the comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, look up if I am.
Obey the warning signs, and when there are flashing lights or wigwags, don't attempt to cross until they come to a complete stop.